You do not defeat an island empire by attacking its cities first. That is the rule everyone believes. For centuries, wars are decided on land. Armies clash. Capitals fall. Navies support the fight, but they do not end it alone. You can bombard ports. You can blockade coasts. But a nation with factories, stockpiles, and willpower does not collapse quietly. Imperial Japan believes this rule with religious certainty. Japan is an island nation, yes, but it is also a fortress. Its leaders believe their merchant fleet is untouchable. Their navy is powerful. Their sea lanes are vast. Their empire stretches thousands of miles across the Pacific and Southeast Asia. Oil from the Dutch East Indies. Rubber from Malaya. Food from China and Indochina. Steel and coal shipped where it is needed. And they believe one more thing. Submarines are a sideshow. Before the war, Japanese naval doctrine treats submarines as fleet scouts and assassins of enemy warships. Commerce raiding is beneath notice. Merchant sailors are expendable. Convoys are inefficient. Escorts are wasted tonnage. Submarines, they believe, are unreliable, dishonorable weapons, not tools that decide wars. So when war comes, Japan prepares for decisive surface battles. They do not prepare for what waits below. Because in the dark water of the Pacific, a quiet, patient force is forming, crewed by men who know they are overlooked, underfunded, and underestimated. Men who will not fight battles. They will erase supply lines. And in 1943, Japan will finally realize something horrifying. Its empire is not being attacked. It is being slowly strangled. You are Charles Andrews Lockwood. It is early 1943. You are 52 years old. A submariner to your core. You have salt in your veins and frustration in your gut. You command the U.S. Pacific Submarine Force. On paper, this should be America's deadliest weapon. In reality, it is failing. Since Pearl Harbor, American submarines have been aggressive, brave, reckless sometimes. They patrol enemy waters thousands of miles from home. They fire torpedoes at close range. They penetrate harbors. They risk everything. And yet, ships are not sinking. Torpedoes strike and do not explode. They run too deep. They hit at the wrong angle. They pass beneath targets like ghosts. Your captains report it again and again. Perfect shots. Clean hits. No explosions. You read the patrol reports. You see the anger in the margins. You hear it in their voices when they return to port, exhausted, hollow-eyed, furious. Men are risking their lives for nothing. You know what that does to morale. Worse, you know what it does to the war. Because while submarines struggle, Japan is expanding. Its merchant fleet, nearly 6 million tons of shipping, feeds its war machine. Every factory, every airfield, every shipyard depends on cargo that must cross open water. And right now, Japan believes those waters are safe. You do not. You have spent your life beneath the surface. You know submarines are not glamorous, but they are relentless. They do not need air superiority. They do not need massive fleets. They need one thing. Torpedoes that work. So you pick a fight, not with Japan but with your own navy. You demand tests. Real tests. Live fire tests. You fire torpedoes into cliffs. Into nets. Into steel plates. And you prove it. The Mark 14 torpedo is defective. The exploder is faulty. The depth control is wrong. 4 months, years, bureaucracy ignored it. Now, with proof in hand, you force change. Exploders are modified. Depth settings corrected. Magnetic detonators disabled. Quietly, without ceremony, the most important weapon of the Pacific War finally becomes lethal. And that is when everything changes. Because now, when your boats go out again, they do not come back empty. They come back with kills. And Japan does not notice at first. You are aboard a fleet submarine in 1943. Steel creaks as you dive. The hatch seals shut. The air smells of oil, sweat, and stale coffee. The Pacific presses down, 100 feet, 150, 200. Silence settles. The hydrophone operator raises a hand. Multiple screws. Bearing 085. That means merchants. You periscope up. There they are. A convoy. 6 ships. Fat. Slow. Black smoke trailing from their stacks. 1 destroyer escort. Maybe 2. This is not a battle. This is a harvest. You maneuver ahead, silent, electric motors whispering. You set up the shot. Range 3,000 yards. You close. 2,000 yards. The sea is calm. Too calm. Any periscope wake could give you away. 1,500 yards. You fire. 1, 2, 3. 4 torpedoes leap from the tubes. You count. 30 seconds. 40. Then, a dull rolling boom. Another. Another. Steel tears. Fuel ignites. 1 ship breaks its back and begins to sink by the bow. Another erupts in flame. The escort panics. Depth charges roll into the water. The ocean explodes around you. The hull shudders. Light bulbs burst. Men grab pipes and pray. You go deep. 300 feet. The pressure gauges climb. The steel groans like a living thing. Charges detonate above. Closer now. 1 rocks you sideways. But then, nothing. Silence. The convoy is gone. And behind it, 2 more ships sink into the Pacific. This happens again. And again. And again. By mid-1943, American submarines are sinking Japanese ships at a rate Japan has never experienced. Tankers vanish. Or carriers disappear. Food ships do not arrive. Yet Japanese doctrine refuses to adapt. Convoys remain rare. Escorts are insufficient. Anti-submarine training is poor. Sonar is primitive. Depth charges are few. And Japanese commanders still believe submarines are a nuisance, not a mortal threat. Then the numbers begin to speak. In 1942, American submarines sink roughly 180 Japanese merchant ships. In 1943, that number doubles. By 1944, submarines are sinking over half of all Japanese shipping losses. Think about that. Factories slow. Aircraft production falters. Pilots go untrained because fuel is rationed. Warships remain in port because there is not enough oil to sail them. In the Philippine Sea, Japanese carriers launch aircraft flown by undertrained pilots because veterans were lost, and replacements never had fuel to practice. On islands across the Pacific, garrisons begin to starve. You hear it in intercepted messages. Requests for food go unanswered. Units are ordered to live off the land, on islands with no land left. Rice rations are cut. Then cut again. By 1944, Japanese shipping losses exceed replacement by catastrophic margins. Oil imports drop by more than 80%. Steel production collapses. The empire begins to eat itself. And still, submarines keep coming. Wolf packs form, not by doctrine but by instinct. Boats coordinate attacks. One strikes. Another finishes. Survivors in the water watch periscopes slide past like sharks' fins. At the height of the campaign, fewer than 300 American submarines are in the Pacific. They represent less than 2% of the U.S. Navy's manpower. And yet they will sink over 1,300 Japanese merchant ships. Over 5 million tons. More than the entire pre-war merchant fleet. This is not combat. It is suffocation. And finally, too late, Japan realizes the truth. The sea lanes are dying. The empire is bleeding out underwater. Mid-roll seat. If you find this kind of forgotten history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. We believe these stories of courage, sacrifice, and quiet genius deserve to be told. And by subscribing, you help us ensure they aren't forgotten. What Japan does not understand at first is that this damage cannot be reversed. You can rebuild ships, but not quickly enough. You can train escorts, but not without fuel. You can build aircraft, but not without aluminum, oil, and transport. The submarine campaign does not announce itself with a single decisive battle. It erodes. By late 1944, Japanese shipyards launch vessels that never sail. They sit idle, rusting because there is no fuel to move them. By 1945, some Japanese cities receive less food than at any point in modern history. The navy that once ruled the Pacific is immobilized. When American forces invade island after island, Japanese defenders fight without hope of resupply. They are already defeated. They just do not know it yet. After the war, they never expected starvation by submarine. The U.S. Strategic Bombing Survey will later conclude that even without atomic bombs, Japan would have been forced to surrender by late 1945, because submarines had destroyed its ability to function as a modern nation. The rule is broken. An empire has been defeated not by armies, but by logistics. Charles Lockwood survives the war. So do many of his submariners. Some do not. Over 3,500 American submariners die in the Pacific. More than any other branch, proportionally. They die in silence. No surrender. No rescue. Just pressure, darkness, and water. Today, many of their patrol areas remain unmarked graves. And yet, their impact reshaped warfare forever. Modern navies obsess over supply lines because of what these men proved. You do not need to destroy an enemy's cities. You destroy what feeds them. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or state and tell us if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Charles Lockwood and the thousands of American